round of the FIM MotoE World Championship brings with it a whole new venue as Balaton Park is welcomed onto the calendar in 2025. An hour away from the grand capital of Budapest and near the Hungary lake resorts and Lake Balaton. Can the only home hero in the paddock come up with the goods this weekend? It's time to find out in MotoE. Welcome to Balaton Park, welcome to Hungary. MotoE rounds will be coming thick and fast from this moment on, and with 6 riders covered by just 23 points, the look of the championship standings could be turned completely on its head. You're in the company of myself, Hector Garzo, and my spar and sparring partner in 2025, Neil Morrison. MotoE action has been electric in more ways than one this season, Neil. But with so many riders so close in the standings, this weekend could be one of the most pivotal as we hit the halfway point. The clouds here are gathering over Balaton Park, but we've had no rain yet, so we should be dry for MotoE qualifying, and Q1 is coming up now.
Yeah, most certainly is, Kiko, and I'm super excited about this qualifying session. We've got an absolutely stacked Q1 lineup. Some of the biggest hitters in the category will be appearing in this Q1 session, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen. And only 2 places up for offer. I think this is going to be one of the hottest and tightly competitive sessions that we've had all year.
2 places up for offer. One of them should be going the way of the championship leader, Andrea Mantovani. He's got to come through this. Hector Garzo, our reigning champion and double podium finisher last time out in Austria. He's also coming through this. Double winner last time out in Austria, Matteo Ferrari. He's going to be in Q1. Oscar Gutierrez and Kevin Zanoni have had podiums in 2025. Maria Herrera has chased podiums in 2025. If you could choose 2, and if you can get them right, I tell you what, you deserve a seat up here in comms, because I don't think either of us can get this one nailed down, Neil. There is so much opportunity and so many riders who think they can all do it.
Yeah, absolutely. This rider will be one of them. Kevin Zanoni coming here on the back of, let's be honest, a completely disastrous weekend in Austria. 13th place for Zanoni in race 1, 17th place for him in race 2, and a crash at the start of Q1 really put him on the back foot for the rest of the weekend. He never quite recovered from that moment.
This was why it all went wrong, wasn't it, back in qualifying? So the importance of qualifying never been shown to be kind of that important before, but Kevin Zanoni's been on the podium in 2025. A lot of work to do this time around. We are less than 2 minutes away from this. Other riders in this as well. Well, Hector Garzo, he has got to be looking at coming through all that hard work, the donkey work he did last time out, and he is going to be, well, lucky to come through this. You wouldn't have your money on him moving through if you look at the other riders.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Garzo was 10th in practice, which means he should be at the forefront of this session, but still far from ideal for the current #1. It looked as though he had re-hit his stride after a troubled opening to the year. Back in Austria, qualified 4th and then 2 podiums, the first time he was on the podium this year in race 1. Backed that up with another solid performance in race 2, but as Kiko said, not quite gone to plan so far yet, and not quite gone to plan for the championship leader.
No, not at all. This is the 2nd time in 2 rounds. This is the 3rd time this year we see Andrea Mantovani really struggling in qualifying. Of course, at Assen he was pretty spectacular, but he's not been really that spectacular since. And I'll tell you why we're seeing these big names, Neil. We've got the likes of Nicolas Spinelli and Luca Bernardi. They went straight through earlier, but of course we are in Hungary. An 18-year-old Hungarian, Tibor Eric Varga, moved straight through, was actually 2nd earlier on in the standing. So we've got 3 names there that you wouldn't normally put straight into Q2, which puts places at a premium in this session we're about to see.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that is going to be one of the big draws for the Hungarian fans coming to the Balaton Park circuit here tomorrow to see whether the home hero could well emerge victorious on home soil. I mean, that could be a massive storyline for MotoE this year. We've had 6 races so far, 5 different race winners, and Tibor Eric Varga, from what we've seen so far today, could well be a 6th in 7 races tomorrow. But before we get to that, let's get to qualifying. Q1 has started, as you can see, and well, I mean, who are you picking from this one, Kiko?
Very hard to tell. I'm going to go Garzo, even though I knocked him a bit at the start of this. I said I wouldn't be putting too much money on him. I'm going to go Garzo and Ferrari on the basis of Ferrari's pace last time out. He clicked with the bike. I spoke with him on Thursday. I'm not going to go Mantovani because he struggled last time to get out of Q1, Neil. So, yeah, Garzo and Ferrari for me. What about you?
Yeah, I think Ferrari and maybe Oscar Gutierrez, the number 99, who had a couple of strong performances in Austria in his comeback ride from a really serious injury just 1 week ago. Gutierrez finds himself in this session as well, but maybe not so much a surprise. Obviously, he had a big enforced absence due to injury when he was recovering. Not so surprised to see him in this session. I think it's going to take him a little bit more time to get back to his absolute best. We see him, the number 99, on our screens just here, but the big surprise for me is Matteo Ferrari coming here in the form of his life in recent years, for sure. Double victor and the first rider to win more than one MotoE race in 2025, yet had some real struggles today. He
has, and I think part of that might be down to the fact that this place is all new. Riders trying to work it out for themselves. Some of them have had previous experience. Timo Varga is one of them, Mattia Casadei another, but Matteo Ferrari, you'd still put some money on him going straight through, but perhaps a little bit of extra track time is just what the number 11 needs. The 28-year-old from Rimini in Italy, and we pick him up now. He's working his way back down towards turn 15, which is the start of the final chicane. 15 and 16 is the chicane, and it's a relatively quick left-hander onto the straight, and these MotoE machines will be working their way up towards their first flying laps, and they're starting now as we pick up right at the front. This is the 658 machine of Tommaso Occhi, I think it is. Yes, it is indeed. So Occhi already making his way around on his first flying lap. Now, he was quite considerably off the pace earlier on in practice, but again, a new track, and a lot of these bikes, this MotoE Ducati, it has its own quirks, and partner that up with a new track, and if you're a rookie as well, it is a very hard task.
Yeah, most certainly is. There was something you imagine up with Tommaso Occhi's machine earlier. He was 5 seconds off at the end of practice, and yeah, you're not 5 seconds off in this MotoE World Championship unless you're having one or two issues, I feel. So let's see if he can get a little bit closer to the front in this Q1 session. We're just looking at, I think that was Mantovani just there. On his current lap, and that is Matteo Ferrari through these fast double rides, probably the two most interesting corners, I would say, on this circuit, Kiko. I mean, it's very tight, and I mean, qualifying's obviously going to be super important to start out front with a clear track ahead, but there are so many overtaking opportunities behind. It could well lend itself to some quite exciting racing.
There's a lot of interesting points with the chicanes for me. They are overtaking opportunities, but particularly in qualifying, if you crash, that bike goes through the gravel. There's a lot of energy and momentum carried with these MotoE bikes. There's a lot of gravel that can be thrown back on the track, and that's something I want to come to. Yellow flags, of course, cancels lap times, guys. So it's really important to get one in right at the start. We saw how important that was last time out in Austria at the Red Bull Ring. Riders coming to the line. Occhi, the first one to set time. Hosjuk next. Then it's Fusco and Gutierrez. But those times are going to tumble. They're quite varied already, Neil, but we are going to get down to business very, very soon. Matteo Ferrari straight in with a 46.3, something a little bit more like it.
Yeah, that is a little bit more like a Mattia Casadei. His fastest time from practice earlier today, just around lunchtime, was a 45.8. So still some way to go, about half a second still until we're reaching that kind of lap time. The conditions look pretty good, as you can see on our screens just now. I mean, not quite clear blue skies, but certainly the weather has been a lot better than we were anticipating today, although it is very, very windy. And I heard a couple of Moto2 riders saying after their session this afternoon that the wind was really difficult, making it very difficult for them to be consistent. We did see in the other categories lots and lots of riders running off line, running off track, running through the chicanes as they just got up to speed with this circuit, and then had to deal, of course, with the gusts of wind that have been blowing around this Balaton Park circuit all day.
And the other thing that some MotoE riders were talking to me about on inside the E-paddock on Thursday evening was the fact that these bikes are some of the heaviest bikes, and they're not so much lazy, but they're a little bit more complicated to wrestle around.
Yeah, that is a good point, Kiko. As you can see, Garzo must be a little bit frustrated getting held up here by Finello, that is, the second Grassini rider. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Kiku. You just have to look at this track, and I mean, there's quite fast changes of direction from turns 1 to 2. Then we've got a chicane at 5 and 6, another one at 9 and 10. 12 and 13, and then 15 and 16, all really fast, sharp changes of direction. And yeah, these bikes are a little bit heavier, just a little bit heavier than other bikes that these riders will have experienced, and that I'm sure will be a bit of a factor through the weekend.
You've heard of chicken farms. This is a chicane farm. Across the line, Hector Garzo goes P1 and gets ahead of MotoE Ferrari. So very good stuff indeed for Garzo, but he's going to have to scrub the next lap because he's gone deep at turn 1. And how many times have we seen riders go in deep down towards turn 1 after setting a fastest lap, or their personal best fastest lap of a session? It is a really tricky opening turn to this lap, and if you go wide at turn 1, that's the whole lap scrubbed off. You've got to come all the way back round again to start.
Yeah, as we see a replay here, this is off Garzo. He's going to have a bit of a moment there on the exit of that particular turn.
Oh, this is the smoke from the boot, I think.
Okay, right. Oh. So Garzo laying it all on the line. I don't know if you saw photos of Fermin Aldeguer's boots after the Austrian Grand Prix. I think it was that his right boot was completely worn through by the time he was speaking to us in the press conference after the race, which was quite a remarkable sight to see. But gives you an impression of just how much he was using his foot to graze along the tarmac.
Worth it for P2 though, up in MotoGP, wasn't it? So I've got to say, Hector Garzo, very good job indeed. And at the moment, Neil, that's my predictions absolutely nailed on. But I think we got a little bit of life left in this one just yet.
Yeah, you can see Gutierrez giving it absolutely everything as he comes through the third split. That was a decent sector as well. He managed to gain a little bit of time on Garzo. Ferrari on a quick one as well, as we pick up with, that is Hosiuk, I think that is Gutierrez's teammate. Yep, the Romanian rider. So Hosiuk also on course to improve his time in 6th. He jumps up into 4th. Gutierrez goes 3rd, still not good enough for a spot inside the top 2. And Kiko, we were talking about, well, you called this a chicane farm. There's so many chicanes around this track, and for a rider coming back from such a serious injury, like broken bones in his pelvis, you imagine that this is going to be a bit of an effort for Oscar Gutierrez, who's still not 100% physically fit.
It really would be, and for Oscar Gutierrez, I think the thing with this one will be get through qualifying, see where you're at, and try and get stuck in the race. Of course, this track, it's new as well. Gutierrez is still not fit, and like you say, Neil, yeah, this is a physical one. It's probably, I would say, the most physical on the calendar, because there aren't long straights, so you get any kind of rest. It is very much side to side. There's only really out of this corner. This is turn 4 going down the back straight, which, as you can see, it's not that long at all, but it is a very, very physical circuit. Look at Jakobo Hosiuk just on this one, Neil. A 10th off halfway around this lap. I tell you what, this is going to be contention for the top 2 at this rate.
Yep. Decent stuff from Hosiuk. We're just hearing in our headsets from Elliot that Hector Garzo has parked it in pit lane, which means that no further improvements will be coming from him. So Hosiuk could put the reigning champ on the back foot. We need to look at the championship leader as well, down in 7th at the moment. And just looking at his times on our splits, Mantovani 7/10 off through split number 2. So I don't think Mantovani is going to be coming through this Q1 session. Yeah,
Mantovani's having a nightmare here, isn't he? Hosiuk's coming through 16. Short burst up to 17, try and carry some corner speed. We saw Hosiuk come so close last week at the Red Bull Ring here. Driving to the line. Is this going to knock Hector Garzo out? Oh, it is! Hector Garzo, well, he's in the pit, and he is going to be in a pit of despair at this rate, because that is 3rd and out. Jakobo Hosiuk, the Romanian rider, is about as close to home as we get here on the MotoGP calendar for the number 12, has just put in an absolute shock and a stellar final sector to move up into P2. Fantastic stuff. Mantovani across the line, 7th for him. Herrera improves but stays 9th. One last lap for both of the Clint Forward factory team machines to get into Q2 if they can.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Hosiuk. The first time potentially that he could go through into Q2. And there is Hector Garzo. Well, a penny for his thoughts, because he, at the moment, is looking at, 10th place on the grid at best.
That is just a disaster, isn't it? Yeah.
11th.
He's 11th, yeah, because the top 2 join 8 already through. Hector Garzo's going to be 11th at best. That is a total disaster. Kevin Zanoni as well looks like he might be able to inflict a bit more damage if he can hold that all the way through this final flying lap.
Mantovani would go on board with him. This is a good time to join with the championship leader. You can see he's getting a real buffeting around this circuit, just from the movement on the bike, from the wind as well. He's 6/10 off through sector number 2. At no point in this session, Kiko, has Mantovani looked competitive.
No, well, across the course of the day either, really. And really, since the Red Bull Ring, I mean, Mantovani pretty stellar in the opening 2 rounds, but the Red Bull Ring long straights aren't a good thing, and maybe a little bit too point and squirt for one of the heavier riders on this grid. But Andrea Mantovani, this is turning into a disaster for him. It would be 15th on the grid at best as it stands. Down into 15 and 16. This is, Alessio Finello has gone down, and that'll be yellow flags out on the track. Through the final corner for Zanoni. I don't think this is going to be good enough for the top 2, but can he improve his own grid position across the line? Yes, he can. He moves up into 4th, but that is going to be 12th at best, and he's taken the checkered flag.
Yeah, disappointing stuff for Zanoni yet again, and really disappointing for Andrea Mantovani.
Yeah.
You think the kind of round that he had at the Red Bull Ring, you can get away with maybe one of those rounds if you want to be champion in MotoE this year, but 2, and especially 2 on the bounce, it does not bode well for his championship.
I'll tell you what, that is Alessio Finello's very second-hand Filo Grassini MotoE team bike getting dragged back through the gravel. That front end has taken a battering, so good to see that Alessio Finello is okay, and Finello 6th in this session, so that is going to put him at the head of the 5th row. That'll be 14th place by my very quick and abrupt mental arithmetic live on air, but you can see that's been a fast crash. I wonder if that's over at turn 8 on the approach to the chicane, because he has had a batter in there.
Yeah, that's a fast old place to crash. I think we saw Alvaro Bautista crash there on World Superbikes when that championship was here at the Balaton Park circuit 1 month ago. And Bautista was very, very lucky to get away from that particular incident. Good to see Finello at least up and walking, but yeah, just one of a number of storylines in this session. Well, Hector Garzo didn't make it through, nor did Kevin Zanoni, a podium finisher in the first round of the MotoE World Championship. Oscar Gutierrez, who won the very first race of this year's World Championship, and the championship leader, Andrea Mantovani. None of those riders making it through to Q2.
A total disaster, but this is going to be a career best, regardless of what happens in the second session, by Jacopo Hosjuk up into P2 to move through into Q2. Hosjuk's previous best qualified has been 11th. That was last time out. So another rider, the more time he has on these MotoE bikes, the faster he gets.
Yeah, absolutely. And a name that we didn't know too much about coming into this season, let's be honest. Just a bit like Tibor Eric Varga, but Hosjuk showing that he very much belongs on this World Championship stage in the MotoE series. And first appearance in Q2, just reward for his efforts. A big relief for Matteo Ferrari, who had a really tricky lunchtime practice session, but managing to get through with a 146.1.
Let's see if he can improve it again later on in the in Q2. It's going to be tight for that, but Matteo Ferrari puts himself in contention. Jacopo Hosjuk joins him for the first time into Q2 for the Romanian rider. So podiums in NTC, and now making a little bit of headway as well in MotoE at the expense of our reigning champion Hector Garzo. Down in 3rd, that's 11th on the grid, ahead of Kevin Zanoni, who's had a podium this year. Gutierrez, 5th in that session. Finello has crashed. Mantovani, a disaster for the number 9 in P7. Raffaele Fusco, 8th, ahead of Maria Herrera. Tommaso Occhi, a little bit off the pace, 1.8 seconds behind the Spaniard ahead of him, and is going to be completing that MotoE qualifying grid down in 10th after Q1. But they all chase Matteo Ferrari, or at least Jacopo Hosjuk does, as he moves up into Q2. And that is where the pole battle will begin at Balaton. Welcome back to Balaton Park. We have just had Q1. We're moving through. Matteo Ferrari and Jacopo Hosjuk join the already seeded 8 riders to go into the pole battle. One rider who is not Hector Garzo out in Q1. The reigning champion is with Elliot York, our pit lane reporter.
It certainly is, Hector. What happened there? You looked like you were pretty strong, looking comfortable, and then pulled into pit lane. What was the tactics? What was the thinking?
Well, yeah, we tried everything. It's first time here for me. I never been here before. We see that everybody came here before Austria to train, but well, I tried my best. I knew that I couldn't make a better lap than this, so I take a lot of risk, and that's the reason why I entered. You know, I knew I couldn't do better than that, but well, I didn't want to risk it. I hope to was on the limit for passing to Q2, but well, this is what it is, and we will try to do our best tomorrow.
What's your first impressions of Balaton Park? It's quite a different circuit to anywhere you really go to. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's quite nice. It's so physical. I think if we do maybe a little bit more of laps, like many of the riders on the grid did, but well, we hope the best for tomorrow.
Confident you can fight back through to challenge for top 5 podiums tomorrow?
Well, we should see.
Thanks, Hector.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hector, and thank you, Elliot, down there in pit lane getting blown about because the wind has already picked up. This is qualifying 2 and moving through Ferrari and Hosjuk, but Casadei, Varga, Zacconi, Baldassarri, Granado, Spinelli, Luca Bernardi for the first time in Q2 as well. Jordi Torres looking to try and bounce back after a tricky Red Bull ring last time out. But they are your 10 names who can be on pole. And I'll tell you what, Neil, Tibor Erik Varga has been impressive. 6th and 4th last time out, 2nd in practice earlier on today. He's racing at home, he's got the fans behind him. I can feel something special happening, maybe not today, but perhaps tomorrow, because this rider on your screen, the number 47, has been sensational over the last week or so.
Yeah, he really has come into his own in this MotoE World Championship. Rookie, we need to remind ourselves, but Varga has been super impressive as of late. As Kiko said, 6th and 4th place just 1 week ago, and already lapping up a bit off that home support. There is the Hungarian flag flying just above the, or just next to the grandstand. I think that's along the start-finish straight.
It is.
And yeah, Varga going across to greet some of those fans that are dotted around the grandstand as he has a bit of a chat with Mirko Cecchini there. That is the team owner of Snipers Racing. And yeah, you just feel that the momentum's building, and the fact that we're now here on Hungarian soil, all just could play into his favour.
And the nice thing is that MotoE so often has been where riders come to do the last bit of their career, but Tibor Erik Varga genuinely looks like someone who could make his way in Grand Prix or at least Superbike racing, and that's really good. 18 years old from Debrecen, the second city of Hungary. He is on home soil, and nice to see him making a proper go of it in his rookie year.
Yeah, it really is. And we have seen this before. We have seen a couple of riders come through MotoE and use it as a stepping stone to jump into the other Grand Prix categories. You just have to look at one of the podium finishers in last week's MotoGP race. Ferdinand Deguer was, I think, a pole sitter at the Red Bull Ring in his one and only MotoE appearance. And has obviously gone on to bigger and better things since then. We just had a look at Lorenzo Baldassarri. Yet again, Baldassarri, so consistent this year. Never finished outside the top 6 in any of his 6 MotoE appearances so far. He was looking pretty good earlier this afternoon as well. Over lunchtime, Baldassarri 4th fastest.
He's growing in confidence, isn't he, Baldassarri? The number 7, 5th on the grid last time out, and he crashed doing it, so he got away with one. I reckon the front row's within his grasp today. Eric Granado, front row last time out, front row in the first round of the year. Championship, down in 13th, crashed on the last lap out of a podium position, was on the podium in race 1 though last time out. So Granado and Baldassarri, perhaps 2 of your dark horses in the pole battle and for podiums this weekend at Balaton Park.
Yeah, he'll still be kicking himself from that crash in race 2. A podium was there. That would have been his 2nd podium of the day and would have given him a bit of an outside shot still in the championship, but it's a very big uphill task now. But I think we're looking at the favourite for pole position, Kiko, judging by practice performance earlier today.
Mattia Casadei, of course, has been here before. He's one of the few riders that have. Maria Herrera was another, but Casadei was here in World Supersport duty back in the World SBK round. Casadei has got pace. He needs to iron out his mistakes.
He does, and he was a full 0.6 of a second faster than second place in practice earlier, which goes to show that he wasn't just fastest, but he had a real margin over the rest of the field. And you feel, Kiko, that recent experience that he had in the World Supersport Championship will definitely pay off here. And as you said, needs to kind of iron out those mistakes that have been too many, too frequent in recent weeks.
Well, I tell you what, with Andrea Mantovani qualifying where he has, this is a huge land of opportunity to really steal the show going into the next half of this season. We are only at the midway point as of tomorrow, race 1 here in MotoE. But Andrea Mantovani, your championship leader, downfield and down on the grid. This has got to be, if they can't capitalise here, you do feel where, because we said this last time out as well, Neil, in Austria, that really Andrea Mantovani was quite lucky to come away with the same amount of points in his advantage as he arrived to Austria. We have got track action. Eric Granado is the first one out. This is Matteo Ferrari who's joining him. So 1 minute or so into this session, not everyone taking to the track immediately, perhaps just waiting for a little bit of strategy to come into this one. But if I were them, I'd be getting out straight away.
Yeah, always good to get a fast lap time on the board early doors, especially when recent qualifying sessions have shown that yellow flags can be a real problem for riders late on. As we pick up with the home hero, Tibor Eric Varga. Nice and distinctive crash helmet, and there is the Varga fan club in one of the grandstands. I'm not too sure which grandstand that is exactly, but you can see the number 47 adorned all over those little flags that they've got. I
think it's turn 4. I think it's the exit of turn 4. So Tibor Eric Varga, the fans obviously supporting him very, very much indeed. This is his teammate Nicola Spinelli. Now Spinelli crashed in qualifying last week in Red Bull Ring. He doesn't want to do the same again.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't. Spinelli has well, I guess he's had a consistent year so far, but it's not been eye-catching. This was a rider that won more than one race last year, and at one point looked to shoe-in for the championship. I think he won the first 3 of 4 races in last year's series, and then really went off the boil in the second half of the championship. Did Granado just have a bit of a shake coming out of turn 4 just there? I think he did. We heard his rear Michelin screaming, and you can hear it screeching under pressure, under duress as he breaks down into turn 5. Then the switch back here to turn 6, and then these 2 corners here, 7, and then we just missed the as we cut away there, 7 and 8, 2 real fast corners, and can be taken at great speed on these MotoE machines.
They are the corners that most of the riders have so far, the ones I've spoken to today, thoroughly enjoyed, because it is a chance just to really let it ride right out. They're similar to, I think, is it turn 5 and 6 in Mandalika as well. The fast rights up before the S is at the top before you drop back down towards the C. It's very similar to that. You just let it run right out. They're both fast right-hand kinks, so good to see that even though there are a few chicanes here and there at the Balaton Park circuit, but good to see a couple of good, fast, old-school kind of corners.
Yeah, most certainly. As we pick up with Granado then on a decent time here, just a reminder that the fastest MotoE time we've had today, a 45.8. If you're in the 45s, I think you'll be doing very well indeed. Maybe knocking on the door off the front row. You can see Eric Granado very close to that time with his first flying lap.
That's a cracking effort, I've got to say. Granado has been on the front row, as we've said a couple of times this year. Pole has eluded him though, so he's got extra motivation, and Eric Granado looking very, very good there indeed. We are picking up now Matteo Ferrari, who's at the halfway point, coming through the chicane at turns 12 and 13, and it's the fast left at turn 14. These MotoE bikes will be sliding through there. He drops a lot of time though, so Ferrari, but he's going to get 1 lap on the board. Look at Lorenzo Baldassarri at the halfway point. He's challenging as well as we get into the final chicane and the final complex, the short burst up towards turn 17. We're going to take Matteo Ferrari across the line, but I don't think this is going to challenge Granado unless he's done something magical, which he hasn't, but it's still a good enough lap time and a representative lap time, at least for Matteo Ferrari, if anything else goes wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what Baldassarri can do. You can see he's lost a big old chunk of time in sector number 3. Wonder if Casadei can keep this up. Granado, incidentally, is 6/10 faster than he went earlier today, so he really was pushing on that first flying lap.
Let's take across the line Jordi Torres. He's 1.1 off. Varga goes provisional front row, but he's got a bit more left in the locker there. He did a 46.4 earlier on, so there's about half a second still for Tibor Erik Varga to find. Balder goes third, drops another 0.3 in the final sector, so Balder's got the first half of the Balaton Park lap sorted, not the second half. Casadei, he goes straight into second, so the LCRE team are doing very well indeed on their first laps out the box, going right into competitive lap times. 1-2 at the moment, Granado from Casadei.
Yeah, and you wonder whether Casadei's just easing himself into this session after some of the mistakes that we mentioned previously, Kiko. We do know that he can go a decent bit faster than this, but a good early lap on the board for Casadei, as Ferrari is really in the mix in the first two splits here, but this is where he lost out big time last time around.
This is coming through 14. You can hear the wind. I don't know if you guys can hear it at home, but in the headset we can kind of alter the sound balance in here, and I can tell you the ambient, because the MotoE bikes are so quiet, you can really hear the wind gusting. So that's an extra factor for them to deal with as they all go for pole. As we take Ferrari through the turn 17 left-hander and back out onto the start and finish straight. Where is this lap going to put him? Does it move him up at all? No, he lost some time actually in that final sector, so he stays on the provisional front row. Tibor Erik Varga is a little bit better on this lap. That's a bit more like it for the number 47 Hungarian. Zacconi is also on a very good lap, as is Balder, and both of those riders, well, all three of those riders, Varga, Zacconi and Balder, are in this final sector now. As we pick up Zacconi, he is going to be the first one to the line, just behind Varga. Varga's got to cross the line, goes fourth. Zacconi goes second. Balder, what has he got in the locker? He goes fourth. And that is a big change up on the front row. Zacconi going in and splitting the two LCR machines. Balder fourth. We missed Spinelli going fifth. Ferrari back down to sixth. Varga in the end seventh. 8th for Torres, Bernardi 9th, and across the line, oh, Casadei back to making an LCR E-team 1-2 and demotes his teammate, and that is the fastest lap of the weekend by 0.03 of a second. Mattia Casadei, his previous experience here at Balaton Park, paying dividends in MotoE Q2.
Yeah, it certainly is. Brilliant stuff from Casadei then to go onto provisional pole. I really think that the other riders will be going some if they manage to beat that in the final 2.5 minutes that we have in this session. Although Lorenzo Baldassarri on his latest lap showing that that could well be within his reach as he sets the fastest first sector, although Casadei is going faster yet again, and Zacconi is looking pretty good through split number 2. So maybe what I just said is utter tosh, Kiko. Not for the first time.
You said that, not me. Ferrari, he seems to be losing quite a lot of time in that third sector. I tell you what, that third sector might be a bit technical, and if you haven't got it hooked up, that's where you're losing your time. Let's see what he does this time. Currently 6th, moves up to 5th, so he jumps one place higher on that second row, but red sector's galore. Zacconi is up as he comes into sector 3. Oh, he's just dropped a couple of tenths. Balder's next, and Balder is still up in that third sector, so Lorenzo Baldassarri looking to get on the front row for the first time. He might make it a first pole. Mattia Casadei, who's just gone top, he's also looking to improve on his own time. We are taking through the final corner. The 29 of Spinelli, then it's Zacconi, and then it's Jordi Torres. Zacconi improves second. Spinelli was, oh, Balder! Spinelli was up to 4th, back to 5th because Balder's gone to pole position. Lorenzo Baldassarri on provisional pole. But let's wait for Mattia Casadei, who is coming to the line now. 45.7 to beat, and it's a 45.6.00, and that is the fastest lap of the weekend. Once again for Mattia Casadei, he is in good form. He's knocking laps out one after the other, and that is why we said at the top of the show, Neil, he is the favourite coming into this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Casadei showing that he's on course to secure a third straight front row start in this MotoE category, and putting that recent experience of riding here in the World Supersport category to good use. So Casadei sitting pretty. Brilliant stuff this from Lorenzo Baldassarri, I have to say. Still hasn't had a front row start in his short MotoE career to date. That could well change in the next minute or so. You can see Matteo Ferrari still struggling through split number 3, losing about 0.3 of a second to Casadei's fastest time. And needless to say that with each fastest time we've seen in this session, it is a new all-time circuit record for MotoE in this circuit.
Of course, and I'm not going to be surprised if we see them drop a little bit more off tomorrow. Ferrari to the line, moves up to 5th. Did he go on the green that time around? He was very, very close. but Matteo Ferrari, if he didn't, has got another lap anyway, and he is in 5th place in the middle of that second row of the grid. Spinelli on a personal best, and he's leading around Zacconi, and then it is Jordi Torres, and we picked him up now. This is 16, the burst to 17, keep it left and drive it to the line. Nicolas Spinelli is looking to try and improve. This isn't going to be the front row, but it is going to be the front of the second row, and he's out-qualified Alessandro Zacconi, and Torres moves up to the head of the third row. Oh, Tibor Eric Varga saves the best till last to put himself fourth, and not only out-qualify his teammate, but really give himself a chance going into Saturday's 2 races. Tibor Eric Varga does leave it late, but he does deliver. But no one can catch this rider here. The number 40 of Mattia Casadei is going to be on pole again. Lorenzo Baldassarri back for his first front row in MotoE, and Eric Granado, it's going to be 3 front rows from 4 rounds if it all stays the same. But Matteo Ferrari, the only one who could have a say here, Neil.
Yeah, the only one. Let's see how he does in this sector just now, because this is where he's been losing all of his time all afternoon long. This little switch back just here as he comes down to this fast left, which leads onto the back straight. As such, we do have a few back straights here actually, but this is the run up into turn 15, the last chicane that we have on this narrow, tight layout, and he's given up. I think, yeah, he has. He's put his hand up to acknowledge that yeah, that is all she wrote. So it's 7th place on the grid then for Matteo Ferrari. I was just about to say that it's been a bit of a quiet session for Tibor Eric Varga. We hadn't spoken about him so much in this session when one of us may have been tipping him for pole. I'm looking in your direction, Kiko Giles, but he managed to deliver anyway. And a start on the front of the second row, I think that is definitely job done. Comfortably his best qualifying performance in MotoE to date as well.
It's back-to-back bests, isn't it? Because he was on the third row last time out at the Red Bull Ring in P9, and now he moves up to P4. So he gets ever closer to the top 3. And I tell you what, we saw what his pace was like in the race last weekend in Austria. I wouldn't be too surprised if with a good start he can jump ahead of Granado and Baldassarri and this rider here, Mattia Casadei. This is down at turn 11 now. We've seen a couple of moments through turn 12, this right-hander, and let's see if Mattia Casadei joins the club of riders having moments, or is he just silky smooth and looking at where he's going to be starting tomorrow, which is pole. Yes, I think it was the latter. He comes through very, very easily indeed. Let's talk about this rider, Lorenzo Baldassarri, by far and away his best qualifying in MotoE. One of the tallest riders on the grid, and now one of the highest up on the grid as well.
Yeah, first front row start for Lorenzo Baldassarri in MotoE. He's gone 8th, 5th, and now 2nd. And it has been a consistent and steady start to his MotoE career, but you do feel that there is still a lot more to come from the Italian. Perhaps we'll start to see that in tomorrow's 2 races. Baldassarri, you would not rule him out of the championship fight at this early stage. That might be aiming a little bit high for a rookie, but Baldassarri 3rd in the championship, just 19 points back of Mantovani, and judging by the grid that we have just set, he's going to be making up some big points in Mantovani if he can keep it rubber side down tomorrow.
He really is, and Andrea Mantovani doesn't look like he's going to be able to come through. Hector Garzo perhaps, but Mantovani looked a bit lost earlier as well in practice. But coming into Parc Ferme, Eric Granado it is who takes that 3rd place next to Lorenzo Baldassarri. And then once again, the LCRE team, they are dominant in qualifying, aren't they? They really have got their strategy sorted out, and that's why they're P1 and P3.
Yeah, they were both on the front row last time out in Austria as well, even if they were beaten to pole position by Ferrari. So they both come into Parc Ferme, Casadei and Granado. Good stuff yet again from the pair of them. And we'll be catching up with them with our good friend and colleague Elliot York in a minute or 2.
Can't quite see Elliot down there just yet. Where is he? Is he hiding behind that marshal's post perhaps? Well, you're not missing anything. He's nothing to look at. That's why we only hear from him. Just further down the order, Jacopo Hosjuk, not bad at all, Neil. 9th place there, getting ahead of Luca Bernardi, who was already through into Q2 directly from practice. So Jacopo Hosjuk, just like Tibor Eric Varga, just grown in a bit of stature lately.
Yeah, Yep, 2 riders, Hosiuk and Bernardi, who've got personal best qualifyings. And I think tomorrow's races should be very interesting, Kiko, not just because we've got a home hero in 4th on the grid. We've got 3 riders that could potentially fight for victory on the front row as well. But we've also got some big hitters coming through from further back in the pack. You look at Hector Garzo in 11th, Zanoni in 12th, Oxel Gutierrez in 13th, and championship leader Andrea Mantovani in 15th. So we're going to have to keep our eyes peeled throughout all of the grid in tomorrow's 2 races.
And another massive sticking point is going to be down into turn 1 for the first time. You really could have done with qualifying further up the order on the front row. And I think we are going to be getting ready to hear from one rider who is on the front row. It is Eric Granado, a 3rd of the year, and he's down there with Elliott.
Eric on the front row once again. I'm sure that's job done, target achieved for today. How are you feeling on this new circuit and confident for tomorrow's races?
Yes, I'm so happy. We did a great job today. Understanding how the bike works better on this track is a really difficult track, very technical. Many chicanes. For me, it's not easy because of my leg, you know, change directions many times. But I'm tough and I will be ready for tomorrow. I'm happy with the job we are doing now, P1 and P3, so it looks like we are doing a great job. So yes, confident for tomorrow. Let's go for it and enjoy a lot the race tomorrow. And as always, vamos para cima amanhã. Valeu.
Good job.
Thank you.
Neil, can Eric Granado fight for that first win in 2025?
Yes, I'm going to say it definitively. I've seen enough in that session to suggest that yes, he can, although I think we do have a clear favourite for tomorrow's 2 races, the rider on pole. But I think the rider in 3rd, we've just spoken to, and the rider who I'm sure we're about to speak to, will have something to say about that.
Lorenzo Baldassarri is never shy to get his big lanky elbows out, that is for certain, and he knows how to win Grand Prix. I think he's in position, so in a moment we will be hearing from him. There he is on your screen. El, take it away.
Lorenzo, top job P2 in qualifying. How are you feeling here at Balaton, and are you confident you can fight for your debut win in MotoE?
Yeah, for sure it was important for us to start from the front row because in MotoE is very important, and I think it was my target to try to fight for win also in the race. That is the most important thing. So very happy with the job we did with the team. Also we have back-to-back, so for me that I'm a rookie for MotoE is important because many times without the bike is strange to also you go training, but is much different. So this is good for us to have a back-to-back, and let's enjoy and give the best in the race.
Great job, good luck for tomorrow's races.
Thank you, thank you.
A best qualifying of the season for Lorenzo Baldassarri. P2, well earned, another one in the fight for victory.
Yeah, without question, sounded confident as well, didn't he? Did Lorenzo, as you said previously, Kiko, a Grand Prix winner and a rider of some renown, but not even Lorenzo Baldassarri was able to take pole position. That fell to this rider here, Mattia Casadei, on pole position, and he's in Parc Fermé with El.
Mattia, what a Friday, dominant in practice and then in qualifying. You must be pretty happy right now.
Yeah, I'm very happy for this Friday. I enjoy a lot the track, and I enjoy to work very good with my team. I'm happy about today. And nothing. We are ready for tomorrow, and we try to bring as much point as possible at home.
Good job, good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Mattia Casadei almost seems nervous there, doesn't he, thinking about tomorrow after a couple of mistakes in the last 2 rounds. Assen and the Red Bull Ring. Casadei looking to convert pole position and really do some serious damage into Andrea Mantovani's championship lead. Whether or not he's going to be able to, well, that is a massive question that still needs answering. The standings at the moment, they read that it is Mantovani on top in the championship with, in second place, Alessandro Zacconi, and then it is Lorenzo Baldassarri. But that could all change with P5 overall in the standings. Casadei going from pole. Baldassarri second, Granado third. Varga, a fine effort from the Hungarian at home, and he is just 3/10 off that pole in fourth. Spinelli in fifth ahead of Zacconi. Look at all those big names down the order. Hector Garzo goes from the middle of the fourth row in 11th, and Andrea Mantovani, as we said, down in 15th place. That is a slender 8-point lead that he has coming into this round. It will be a miracle if he leaves with anything more than that this time around as we go into the second half of 2025. Mattia Casadei is the one on pole, and he's the one they want to beat. Balder on a first ever front row in MotoE. Granado a third in 4. Keep an eye out for the 47 of Tibor Ekvarg. Join myself, Kiko Giles and Neil Morrison alongside me, El York in pit lane for both races tomorrow, 12 and 4 o'clock local time. Goodbye.